Welcome, welcome. It's getting set up here. Welcome to the Mystery School Book Club. Right, let me just get set up here.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, perfect. I completely wasn't thinking about the time, and I decided to make a trip to the dump.
Oh, okay. Like,
But I've just dropped off, and so we can go this way. We can do it. I'm driving, but we can discuss.
okay, that sounds good. All right. So, this week we are focusing on Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life. And we took the last 2 weeks to focus on this because, well, we were on vacation. So, from what you have listened, did you enjoy?
Yeah, I did. I mean, this is a book that I've been wanting to read for a while, and I'm going to finish it. Like, I have not completely finished it yet, but um, I think it's important information that everyone should have in their pocket, you know?
Yeah. One thing that I really appreciate, and I spoke with you about this morning, is that she goes through, all of the book and things like that, and then talks about her personal story. But I love at the end, she designates at least an hour, to like meditations and affirmations, and she just, I don't know, I just from an audible perspective, I feel like she did a really good job on this creation.
Right.
So let's get into the meat of this. Um, so Louise Hayes teaches that our thoughts create our reality. What are some thoughts you've noticed repeating in your life, and how might they be shaping your experiences?
So I think for myself, and honestly for a lot of folks too, and maybe I shouldn't loop everyone in to just talk about me, but like I know that I have struggled a lot with um, confidence issues and um I think I brought it up last night. Like, so I used ChatGPT to help me work through something, but kind of this thing working out. So I had my daughter out in 2013, but my sister had her out a few years ago. Both of my parents have. I have at least one or two of my grandparents have as well. And so, I asked ChatGPT, hey, can you help me look into this? What is the reason this is all genetic? What from the body, mind, spirit perspective, rather than just like the medical perspective, um, could be causing this? And it was awesome. It gave me some really cool insights, and that it can have to do with decision making. If you have hard times making decisions, or what was the some of the other ones? Confidence was one of them. And there was a few others as well, but like, so when we look at it, I just really like looking at it from that perspective, because it really can shift like the way you see things. So like a lack of self-confidence can create this thing in your body somewhere, like I've had some, issues with um abundance mindset and financial freedom, and that can manifest in your body as well, like, or it can be connected to, if you're an empath, it can be connected to your family line, like, so yeah, I've experienced it a lot, and so I think I'm still getting to the nitty gritty of what is caused by what and what.
So let's pause on that
Okay.
for a moment because that's the next question.
Okay.
And I'd actually like to go through that more, but I'd like to address the first one more
Okay.
so. Because we want to lay a foundation, right?
Right.
And so like on a daily, um, you know, again, she says our thoughts create our reality. So what are some thoughts you've noticed repeating in your life? Like put things aside, but like what is your conversation with yourself? Is it
Mm.
positive mostly? Is it negative? Is it a mixture?
I think it's a mixture. It's something I think it's been a lot of the time in the past. Um, it's been mostly negative, but I've been really shifting that mindset. And so like I'm better at catching myself now.
Hmm.
When I do have those negative self-thoughts, not always, I still have a lot of that. I still think very logically and sometimes I really just I have a lot of negative self-talk, but it's better than it was. And then there's and it may depend on the day too. Like there I can go through days where it's like, yeah, I'm fucking awesome. Um and I'm a badass. And then there are other days where like, oh my gosh, I know nothing. I don't know what is happening, like all of that stuff. So it just I think it depends on the day, but once
Well,
you start to learn and shift, it helps.
so have you noticed at all like being around certain people helps or dishelps your thinking pattern in a positive way or negative way? You know what I mean?
Um, yes, I do. Um, I think, anyone at the center are three typically like not I I don't want to sound like I'm being like tooting my own horn or being arrogant or anything like that, but I'm like, I know I know that these people love me and they see my gifts in ways that I do not, and they love being around me. And so when I'm there with them, that really helps. Sometimes if I'm alone or, with you, my partner, like I allow myself to, you know, some of like you help me too. I'm not saying that you don't. You help me too, a whole lot. Um, but I allow myself, I let my guards down more with you. Um, I don't put up masks or walls with you. And so you see everything. um, yeah,
Well, it's actually really interesting because the like okay, so the start of our morning was really funny. Just a
I
preface.
know.
It was like so I've learned this from Tony Robbins, but then we also do this in one of our classes and sometimes even in soul school at R3, like the Rich and Righteous class, we chant yes, 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 yes. And so it's like when we do that, right, it puts us into a different frequency.
Mm-hmm.
um, it's kind of funny sometimes because sometimes you just don't want to do that, but
Mm-hmm.
it shifts it, right? Well,
Yeah.
one thing that I've noticed is like there's been a few times where I've wanted to do that in the house and I felt self-conscious to do that. And I was like, well,
Mm-hmm.
that's really weird. And so this morning, I don't know why I felt like it was my Aquarian in me that wanted to rebel against that thought, essentially and just like I had the thought come through, and that's how I wanted to start my morning. I wanted to start it successfully with momentum, and I just started to like, yes, 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 and you start laughing, and I thought it was just so funny because like I don't know, in some ways I felt like, like in the past, I guess, like I didn't know if that would be like an acceptable thing, but then I like think about that and I'm just like, well, that's dumb.
Yeah. Well, or, like the reason I don't know, I have resistance to it a lot of the time because I am very self-conscious. I'm self-conscious of a lot of things that I really shouldn't be, but I am. And so like that's, like I know I've probably rolled my eyes at you before when you do it, and I'm just like, but why? Why do I do that? Like, why am I self-conscious about it? Like, what is happening? And so like, and this morning, I just rolled with it because it's fun and it's silly and it um yeah, it's just I don't know.
I don't know. I just felt like it was creating new neural pathways, you know?
Yeah,
We've never done that before. And it was
yeah,
just like kind of whimsical and a little ballsy at the same time. But,
right,
and so um, like at the get-go of the day, I wanted to bring in, new thoughts that were around success, and like, because like the contrast was yesterday morning, I got super upset because what did I do? I looked at Facebook and I let that get the better of me at the get-go of the
right.
day. Huh?
I just said right.
Yeah, and then right after I said, "Oh man, I'm not doing that right now. I'm gonna go pray. I'm gonna go transmute this." And so you know, we constantly have to like train ourselves like in also hold space for each other to and see each other in the highest light, because like something that was coming up, I responded to something on Facebook yesterday. Well, first I posted to something on Facebook, and then I got some very interesting responses because I literally asked myself, I was like, is this truth? Like these are all different people's opinions on stuff.
Right,
And so Source Energy was saying, like see everyone in their highest version of themselves. And so, my comment was really, really important on the frequency that, and, the tone that I was setting to my post and to the responses. And it was like a huge responsibility, you know? And so I feel like as much as we are creating our own um reality, we are also helping at a larger level to be able to you know uh, help others in that process. And we can also be the detriment too, you know? And like we have to make wise choices essentially. Or we don't have to, but it would be nice.
right.
So I'm gonna go to the next question, which was somewhat what you were talking about. The book highlights the connection between physical illness and emotional or mental patterns. Have you ever experienced healing after shifting an internal belief?
Um, I know I have. I need to. I don't know how to pinpoint something that I need to figure out. Um,
Well, can you express the contrast? Like, have you ever thought about something so much that it actually physically or mentally made you sick?
yeah. Okay. So like, I back in 2023, the summer of 2023, I was at a point where with my job that it was so mentally draining, like because I knew I was not being used to my fullest potential. Like it like it had a heavy weight on my chest. Like it just mentally, I was just in a fog most of the time. And so like it took me, once and so like, there was the weight the on my chest seemed to be there constantly, daily. And it was anxiety about the job. It was, well, I guess that's just in general, anxiety for me. If it's, I feel a heavy weight on my chest. Like if I'm anxious about something or a situation or conflict or whatever. Um, and so until I am able to release whatever is making me feel anxious, I that weight is going to be there, you know, like it's not it's just going to be there. Um and so like that summer um I quit my job because it wasn't serving me anymore. But the amount of relief and relaxation I felt in my body after that was let go of was insane. I was on a completely different level, you know?
Right. Well, it's interesting. Um, Either she said it or I heard it in another conversation. I feel like she said it in the beginning of the book. I feel like I've walked through so many different lifetimes in the last week. That's what it
Right.
But I remember this being said, like we often can work ourselves up so much that our excuse, like for instance, like we actually physically will make ourselves sick because we know that is our excuse to be able to like, oh, okay, if we're sick, okay, we can like totally like it's acceptable, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sick, right? But if we literally choose to like what would be the more challenging thing to do to make ourselves sick and allow for the energy to overwhelm us or for us to actually address the problem?
Wait, repeat the first part.
What is more challenging?
What is more challenging?
To allow
Yeah.
ourselves to be overwhelmed by the energy and make ourselves sick, or to actually address the problem.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
right?
well, I was just gonna say, like, you know, you think in the beginning avoiding the problem is going to make things better, but it just in the in the long run, it is the more challenging thing is just that. Once we step up into our power to really break through that, you know, like it might, I'm not saying it's not going to be challenging, but it's going to be the lesser challenging of the two.
Which thing?
Healing it.
Well, it's you're saying it's less challenging than allowing ourselves to be sick?
Well, because the sickness creates its own challenges.
Well, no, I get that. I can see your point of view. I guess for myself, I see being sick and allowing it's almost like I can't say the easy way out, but the uneasy way out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, and it's really interesting because like, where does that root really come from? Okay.
Yeah.
So the root, she talks about this, and I thought this was so freaking profound. Is there a difference between stress and fear?
Mm,
Because essentially, let's, create a scenario, right? Like you're at your work, right? And um and then after this cancel clear delete, right?
right.
But you're at your work and you're just like you need to say something about a specific problem, but like you don't. What would be the reasons why, right? Like it would have to do with like, oh, well, is this my place to say something? like I'm not confident enough. I don't know how to say this. This scares me. All
What
of
if
it,
I get fired? What if
right? All
like,
of these things. And
yeah,
it really is all like it is all connected to fear.
yeah,
And so like when we can be bold, so here's the thing is being courageous is knowing that it scares the living hell out of you, right?
yeah,
But you do it anyways. That's courage. And so that like really shifts a lot.
mhm,
Like if we in if we chose to do that more in our life, we actually eventually will have better relationships because here's the thing is people respect truth.
right,
They may be triggered at first. I can remember a very specific time actually. I had a friend, she was in a situation, a very abusive situation, and I didn't know what to do. The problem was bigger than what I could really handle. And it's because it was out of my control to be able to, you know, like actually encounter that specific problem. So what
right,
did I do? I spoke to my therapist about it. She was a um what do you call it? Like a mandated reporter. Like she has to say something she knows about something
right,
specific. And so then that because I spoke that out, because it was bothering me so much, because I knew it was hurting my friend, um I spoke up, and that actually ended up having a call in itself, and her entire life changed, but it saved her life.
right,
Now, that being the case, I was scared for many, many years to say anything to her. I didn't feel it was the time or the place. And this is where it's at. It's like you have to tune into what is going to help the person and yourself and what is not so helpful. And it can have to do with timing. There's more
yeah,
complex situations, you know what I mean? And so, like, I use the channel of speaking to my therapist to be able to, like, work through a lot of that energy, right? But when the appropriate time came, I did speak my truth. And she did say to me, you know, at one point in time, I would have cut you off and I would have been furious. And, but seeing on the other side of this that you did what was very difficult to do, and you used your wisdom in this situation, and you still were honest with me, but years later, I actually appreciate and respect that.
mhm,
And so, like we're not handed, easy things in this lifetime, but it's to help us grow
mhm,
and learn to use discernment. That's a very different situation than speaking up in a workplace relationship where, like, maybe if we just spoke up sooner rather than later, or went through the appropriate channels, like going through HR or things like that, like, there's always a way to do something. And it's like, but it's actually approaching the situation and not allowing it to step on you.
right,
Um, so I'm gonna move on to the third question, if that's okay. Is that
yeah,
right? All
yeah.
right. Hay introduces affirmations as tools for transformation. Which affirmation from the book resonates with you the most? Have you tried using affirmations in your daily life? So I don't know if you can remember one specifically, but whatever comes to you is okay as well.
Um, I don't remember one specifically from the book. Affirmations are something that um I really want to incorporate into my regular routine, but I have struggled to do that just because sometimes I it's hard for me to really build habits and keep with them. Changing that narrative.
Mhm.
Um like that's one thing I really because it like as we say the affirmations, they rewire our neural pathways. Like that's a huge thing. Um and so like rewiring your neural pathways are a huge thing. So I believe in affirmations 100%. If I had to, even something like for people like me who may struggle with like self-confidence and who they are, at times, like just even something as simple as like, I'm awesome. I'm a badass. Those kind of simple ones are even transformative when you say them.
May I share one that I feel like would help all of us? And it's super easy. It's
Yeah.
super simple. So she really paves the way. She says she does this in her work, right? And it's helped so many people evolve. And it is three words. I approve. Okay, sorry, four words. I approve of myself. Okay.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is she's like, what is going to happen is when you're saying that she suggests you say it several hundred times a day.
Yeah.
And imagine, I started doing this, as I was reading the or listening to the book and everything like that. And imagine every single time you say, I approve of myself, it's going to come up, those negative things. And then you're going to say it. And you're like, no, but I approve of myself. Each decision that comes up where you're like, I don't know. But guess what? I approve of myself. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And you keep in any situation as you go forward, you know, say, I approve of myself. And so, like, it can be in the contestment, right? Like the contesting aspect of things. But
Right.
when you've done something really good, right? Like, I'm doing this class right now. I'm excited. I approve of myself, you know?
Mhm.
In some ways, it's like, it's so freaking powerful. And then she brings up another aspect to this specific one is how many times a day do we come up with negative self-talk that would surpass several hundred times? When you think it's not doable to say something several hundred times as I approve of myself, then you actually start thinking about like literally, wow, how often have I gone to that negative space and way, way beyond surpassed that?
Right.
And what's happening here is we're like you said, rebuilding those neural pathways. But instead of that rumination, we're going to a direct. I approve of myself. It's linear and it's up and with the energy. And like it's good to have certain types of circular energy, but in this case, it's better to have something more linear, right?
Right.
And one other thing, we started off with some type of affirmation, and it was one word this morning.
Yes.
Yes. And one thing that I learned at Tony Robbins is if you pair that yes with a movement, he says, make a move. And so, like, I went like that, like, I hit my chest. You don't have to do that, But it was something powerful that I remember every single time that I program myself with the word yes. I don't even need the hit anymore. And if I were to just do the hit, that feeling that I program myself when saying yes at the highest states will come back to my body and I will feel it. And so, like, we have so much we can actually do with, like, really less is more.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna go on to the fourth question, if that's okay.
Hmm.
The point of power is always in the present moment. How does this perspective change your relationship to the past or the future?
Mm. I don't know. That's that's one that I have to really like sit on and process.
What I've noticed, is like when you're in the past, you bring up like thoughts of regret or depression. It could be good things too, totally, right? But like that's where we get those negative aspects of like depression and regret and things like that because we're living in the past.
Right.
But when we're living in the future, it's yes, it may be anticipation, right? But it can bring up thoughts of anxiety because
Yeah.
and so like really when we can get embodied in the moment rather than being in our heads and being like, oh, okay, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna blah 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 blah, and there's a time and a place. Like you have your planner, right? You can actually do an exercise of like for the next hour, I'm gonna be really embodied on like being in the present moment while I create consciously a what do you call it? Like uh a structure or you know some type of rhythm in my booklet that has to do with the future.
Right.
And then when those appropriate moments come of like, okay, well, it's the start of the day. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go to my planner and I'm going to look at what is happening today. And I'm just gonna take the next few moments to assimilate those like things that are happening. And then I'm gonna jump out of that hat, right? I'm gonna take that hat off and I'm gonna be like, I know where my direction is for today. I'm allowing the magic and miracles to embody in this now moment. And, and then you start living more present. So, yes, it's kind of a balance, right? Of
Yeah.
being able to say, yeah, like I do have to actually think about futuristic things in the case of like, for instance, I'm gonna go to Mount Shasta. I need to buy a plane ticket. I'd prefer that plane ticket to be cheaper rather than more expensive.
Hmm.
And so like it really is all about intention, you know?
Yeah. I think I think I put a lot of my power in the future, honestly. Like, I mean, Aquarius is like the Aquarian energy a lot of times is a very futuristic. And but like for me, I feel like sometimes I'm like, oh, I can't do this thing until I've experienced this, and that's not gonna happen for a while. So that power is being put in a future moment, or that power's like I'm still coming online with some of my gifts. I'm not fully online. I know that there's more coming. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll understand this better in a future moment. So I feel like a lot of times I put my power in the future rather than keeping it in the present.
So because we've worked through the last book with you know, Quantum Soul Awakens and everything,
Hmm.
can we in this now moment for both of us call back any essence that is from a past moment or moments or any future moment and allow ourselves to truly embody this now moment.
Yes.
All right, let's do it. Just take a moment, take a deep breath, and imagine that soul essence returning to us. And there's a second step to this. Can we allow anyone else's projections or any other soul essence that is not ours to be sent back to its source?
Yes.
All right, let's return it to sender. Let's return it to action. Let's return it to source. Let's be very specific with this. It's speed of light, speed of sound, processing, as above and so below, and so it is.
Yes.
Do you feel anything different in your body when you've done that?
A little bit. I guess I can feel my solar plexus a little bit more right now.
It's really interesting, right?
Hmm.
I've noticed several times when I feel like I've been, like as empaths, we feel things a lot and very in depth. And I've noticed when I've walked into like big groups of people, things like that, or have maybe spent, ample time on like a future event, I at that point do not feel grounded and I feel very in my headspace about things.
Right.
And when I can reclaim my essence, I re-particleize like all of what could happen and what has happened. And I really bring that power back to myself so
Hmm.
that, you know, what, like in the Orasoma, we have like a spread, or more so, I should say, pulling of bottles, and that last one is called the like the uh you like not the present bottle, but the future, like present future bottle, I should say. Yeah. Because like you have the here and now, and then you have this present future bottle. And what's this thing is like you don't have to have it in the future. You can step into your power in this now moment to reclaim that. Like you don't have to wait. Like yes, of course there are major, like sometimes there's just timing on things. But if you're willing, the universe could be willing, you know?
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next one. 5. What do you notice in yourself when you resist change or healing? What helps you soften into growth?
Hmm. The more I resist, the more anxiety I feel, like
Yeah.
I feel like I know that when changes need to be made, but there's anxiety that comes with making those changes.
Hmm.
Um, Even though I know it's probably for and it's- everything is fear or love, right? Like everything is based in fear or in love. And so like there's fear that comes with making changes. So um and I don't know if something specific that just makes me like just fucking do it or like um I mean some of that's timing too. Like some of that, those changes aren't made in a specific time frame for a reason. It takes processing through things. I don't know if that makes sense. I know I'm kind of rambling.
No, it's
Um,
okay.
but
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, it's I was just gonna say like like yesterday I think there was like a very physical, practical moment that happened and I shared it with you. I was in massage and
Hmm.
my massage therapist was like, "Are you open to doing cupping?" I'm like, "Sure." I'm like, "Is it gonna hurt?" And she's like, "Yeah, it probably will." I was like, "Okay." I actually respect the honesty because I actually told her, I said, if you were to have not told me the truth, I would have felt that. I would have felt it at a different layer, you
Right,
know? And but she was very like, there you go, you know? And it wasn't like she was creating pain for me or discomfort, but she was saying, yeah, it's possible here, you know? And I respected the honesty. And then the next thing, I'm actually going to have to pause this for a moment, honey. I have my next client coming in.
okay.
Just give me a moment. Hi. Just going to, sorry. Give me a second. Um, Uh, pause. Okay. How are you today? Tracy, yes. Yes.
Verified session.
Yes. Um, are you ready? Do you want to start now or? Brilliant. Okay. I'll put the timer on after.
Okay.
Do you need any water or anything?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
I'm Catriel, I'm sorry.
Montreal. Oh, okay. Again, it's Tracy. Yeah.
Tracy.
Yeah. I'm ready.
Honey, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay. Sorry.
it's okay.
I'm trying to figure out how to get back to the sharing page. All right, stop. Oh no, I don't want to stop share. How do I? Oh, there's resume. Okay, so I guess I didn't pause the whole thing, did I?
I don't know.
Okay. So, you want to move on to the next question? I can't remember.
Sure.
Um, so Louise talks about shoulds and the critical inner voice. Where do you find this voice showing up in your life? How do you speak back to it?
Mm. I use shoulds a whole lot of times. Like even when it comes to like household chores, it's like I should do the dishes. I should take the trash to the dump. I should do this. I should do that. Um, or, you know, just even in my daily, if like a morning routine, like I should do breath work. I should do some movement. Um,
And do
I
you
think,
think that, do you feel like that's helped you in regards to saying that? Or like, is it
no,
disempowering?
I feel like it's disempowering because if I don't get those things done, like I will feel really guilty about it. I will beat myself up about it. It's disempowering. But if I shift the language to I get to go do this, or like even
Or
as simple
could?
like, hmm?
What about I could go do
Yeah,
this?
I could go do this. Um, yeah, even that is better. It feels more empowering.
I agree. I feel like you know, well, if you wouldn't mind me, because I know it re goes back to my reflection, right?
Hmm.
Um, I've noticed something that you've said before, like when you do a reading with someone or something like that, and you know, like this concept of, oh, I'm gonna be doing this, and it almost feels like energetically from my perspective, it almost feels like it's like, you know, kind of like in the last question, like building up future things, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it hasn't happened yet, and you could do it, you know, but it's like, you know, to be able to shift the language like how we do here, I feel like it's so freaking important. Um, like for my like criticalness, I feel personally, I feel like when sometimes if my dad's in a unique spot, I can pick up on that and a lot of that stuff will come out of me. And
Hmm.
I don't like it at
Right.
all. Like I'm like I'm the one that likes to tune into like anything is possible. Like, and I like living in that space
Hmm.
because I will tell you, when I've opened up to that space, I have seen miracles happen. I have seen anything possible. And why would I want to limit myself? Like, why? Kind of like what we were talking about last night. It's like, okay, fine. Um, I'm gonna have a better experience living where I can go meet a unicorn than when I was like, unicorns don't exist. Well, that's not fun. I don't care.
Right.
Give me my damn unicorn. But so let's see here. Um, how has the book changed the way you view self-love and self-acceptance?
Um, I don't think it's the book itself that has necessarily shifted that for me because I feel like a lot of those views had been shifting prior to reading, but I
Okay.
feel like the book, um, what's the word?
Help activate it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay. We have about 5 minutes, so I'm gonna go to the next question.
Okay.
What role do forgiveness and letting go play in your healing journey? Was there a specific part of the book that helped you reflect on this?
Mm.
You know what? We're gonna skip to the next one. The reason
Okay.
I say that is because, like, it's more about reading the book.
Yeah.
This next one I like. How can creating a loving inner environment affect your relationship with others? I like this one.
Hmm. I am a person who has always been a nurturer of others, but not as much for myself. Um, but at those times when I am able to better care for myself and, give myself some attention that I deserve, like I'm able to nurture those other relationships more so than if I was just coming from more of an empty space, myself.
True. Beautiful. Um, sorry, my ear just popped.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm still working on it, like that loving inner environment.
Yeah, it is. I feel like that's always a work in progress.
Yeah.
Like there are gonna be ebbs and flows of it.
It,
I
you
would
know,
love to be at that spot 100% of the time, but
but then we wouldn't have any work to do.
exactly, that's true too.
Um, okay, so I'm gonna skip down to and no, anyone who's on here, um, you know, actually, I'm just gonna read these off, okay?
Okay.
And then we can sit with them, okay? And I'm gonna actually put all of these questions in the chat. That's what I've decided. Um, okay, so I have what limiting beliefs have you uncovered while reading this book? What beliefs are you choosing to replace it with? I feel like that's really important stuff there.
Mhm.
Reprogramming. And then Louise encourages mirror work, looking into the mirror and affirming love for yourself. What was your experience if you tried this exercise? So that's a really good one as well, doing some mirror work.
Mhm.
And also, how can we support others in healing, in their healing while honoring our own boundaries and path? I feel like that could open up a brand new major discussion right there.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So there's a lot in this book and there's a lot to uncover. And she even suggests at the very beginning to listen to the book once and then go and actually do the exercises by listening to the book a second time. And I feel like, I can definitely resonate with that.
Yeah.
And there's at the end, she has different meditations and things like that. So like here's an open invitation to, grab this book or Audible and really do the work because it can really heal your life. But so I just wanted to pull up something real quick. I think I go to desktop. I just actually did some cool stuff. Yay. All right, so I'm gonna stop that share and then I'm gonna bring up this new share real quick so that people know um what's coming up. So we've already gone through February and March and now the what we're going to be working on um starting today is Anna, grandmother of Jesus, part one. So um I broke this up based off of the like 4 hours and 15 minutes. So I would just go to the nearest chapter and just work your way through. So that, I mean, if you want to go ahead, that's awesome too, but we're going to be focusing on like the first three chapters. I'm sorry, the first part of the three-part series kind of deal because it's a long book.
It is a long book. It's a great book, so I'm excited about the discussion on this one.
Same here. And we will only be on Zoom next week. And of course, this live stream through YouTube, because we will be out of town in St. Augustine. Yeah. So thank you everyone who is participating. And I hope you're getting a lot out of this. And you know, it's never too late to start. And also you can show up and not have read the book and still get something out of it. It's preferred, you know, like at a in-depth level to read it or listen to it, but you know, you can always get something. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.